Hey guys, Professor Ramey here, and I'm your instructor in your Summer 1 History 1301 course. First off, welcome to the class. This class will go, I believe, to about July 12th. I'm not sure the exact end date, but around the second week of July. It's a 5.5 to 6 week class covering the first chapter, or the first half of American history, from the beginning of the historic record to 1877 and the end of Reconstruction. I want to make a quick video welcome you to the class, talking about the topics we're going to talk about, but most importantly, we'll spend most of the time on is just going over the syllabus, so we're all on the same page and we know what's expected of us through this class. Before I get to that, though, just a couple of things, because looking through the introduction and the discussion board, I noticed we have a lot of returning students. We have students returning to college after several years, which is awesome. By the way, I did the same thing. We have students that are old hats that are, in college. They've been here a couple of years. They know exactly what they're doing. But we also have some students that are kind of brand new to this. And if you've never taken a summer course, there's a couple of things you should prepare yourself for, and that these are fairly quick courses, especially online, where a lot of the work is going to be left for you to do on your own. I take that into account to some extent on my assignments. Technically speaking, though, this class is the exact same as a 16-week class that you would take in the regular semester. It's just condensed down to 5.5 weeks. So you're budgeting your time and you're thinking about this class, try to give yourself some, try to do something about it every day, or treat it like a regular 16-week class where you say, okay, I got to budget this hour here and this hour there. I find that helps. Regardless, we're all adults. The workload isn't too much for a freshman level history class, and if you keep up with it, you're going to do just fine, I can tell. Now, it might help you to open the syllabus right now as we're going through it, because you can kind of follow along. I'm assuming some of y'all, ready for the class. Everybody at the beginning of class just excited. I'm ready to go, and you got all that energy, and you probably look at the syllabus, and you're like, why the fuck hasn't the professor put anything up on here? I got some chapter quizzes, that's it. Well, it's common, but even if you read the syllabus, might as well follow along what I'm talking about, make a little note, or just keep some things in your mind. The first thing, and already the most important thing, is right there at the top, that contact information. I mean, we're never going to see each other face to face unless we decide to do some web chat, which probably not going to do. We could, but I'm not planning on it this semester. We'll see how it goes. So you're going to have to, we're going to have to contact each other indirectly, which of course takes time, and we have to be clear what we're saying. And obviously the easiest way to contact me is just via email. Now I have two email addresses up there, the michael.a.ramey@lonestar.edu or michael.ramey@hccs.edu. That's because one of those is obviously my Lone Star email, and the other one is my Houston Community College email, where I also teach. I put them both up there just because at certain times I'm on different emails, and if there's something important, there's two ways to reach me. But honestly, the easiest way to reach me is straight through Desire to Learn. Just go up there to the email and send me an email. It not only goes to my Desire to Learn page, but also goes to my Lone Star email, and I should get back to you. If I don't get back to you relatively quickly, by that it means that either I am teaching other classes, which I am teaching this summer, other classes, and I haven't got to it, or something's come up where I couldn't do something that day. That's what happened yesterday. I got a couple emails from students that I answered just a few minutes ago. Don't panic. However, if it is an emergency, if it's something you really need to get a hold of me, like you backed out of the driveway and killed your grandmother or something, and you don't have time to finish an assignment, I did list my cell phone number on there because it's going on YouTube. I'm not going to say it out loud, but you can see it on there, and that's fine. You can send me a text or give me a call. If it's a long conversation, like I'm old, I don't text a whole lot. Fat thumbs, call me. I don't bite. But if it's something simple and quick, kill grandma, what do, right? Then send me a text to that phone number listed on that. I don't mind it. Just be reasonable about my hours on that. I hate to say it, but it's true. I have had students text me at 3 o'clock in the morning for a problem that honestly was not that serious. So just use your discretion on that. And also send me a reminder, because you have my phone number, I don't have yours. Make sure you put somewhere in that text message who you are and what class you're in. So, 1301 online class at Lone Star, and then your name. And I'll get back to you really quickly through the cell phone, of course. If it's not an emergency, though, just send me an email. Just send me a message through that. Now, let's see. I'm scrolling down here and go through. Catalog description should have read. I mean, I think we're pretty aware of what we're signing up for when we're signing up for a History 1301. The beginning half of American history, right? It goes through all the things we'll talk about, a survey of U.S. history from pre-contact through Reconstruction, etc. And that doesn't make any sense to you. Don't worry, it will by the end of the semester, what these terms mean. And there's actually a darn good reason we end this class in 1877. It's not reasonably apparent at the start, right? That seems an odd year to pick. We like even numbers. Why wouldn't we end the class in like 1900 or something? 1877 is actually a really good place. Some of y'all that have more history knowledge might know what we're talking about. We're talking about Reconstruction and the end of it. Or not, don't worry, we'll get there. It'll be in July, but we'll get there. And you'll see why it makes a pretty decent place to end the class. Prerequisites. You must have either taken English 0305 or 0316 or all these things to be in this class, or its equivalent on that. I don't know. I have nothing to do with that. That's Lone Star policy. If you haven't taken any of those and you're in the class, got past the system, fuck yeah, right? But what that does mean is there is a reasonable standard that you know the English language, right? I mean, history is a lot of writing and storytelling there, so there's a standard that you understand, how we write, and what I mean when I mean citations and things like that. Having said all that, I might as well mention it now. When you signed up for this class, you signed up for HIST 1301, not ENGL 1301. In other words, this is a history class. In your English class, you have a very good professor in that class, and he or she has gone over all this, and she or he grades you on your command of English and the command of writing. This is a history class. Yes, there's some standard of writing you have to have just to be able to communicate, but at the end of the day, as long as you're communicating, you're going to be just fine. The reason I bring this up is I have a lot of English as second language students, or students that, even if English is their first language, are scared of writing, or worried about writing, or not good writers, not strong writers. I don't necessarily grade you on that, so relax about that. Just do the work, get the point across, because what I really am grading you, I'm grading you on the history, and now your command of history there. So there is an assumption that you can communicate in the English language and through writing, particularly in an online class, right? But that's really all that means, and that's all I care about. If you're in the class, you're in the class. Okay. Required materials. This is the first semester in, I don't know how long. I've only been teaching online classes for 3 semesters. I'll get more to that later. But this is the first time ever I haven't had 8 million emails about the textbook. I'm proud of y'all. That's great. Thank you so much. Because I try to make it clear in my syllabus, but I still get a lot. Maybe they're going to come after this or something because of that. But you are required to have the textbook, obviously. There's no way around that in an online course. And unfortunately, you need the exact textbook, which is listed in the syllabus. It has to be that exact one because, once again, in an online course, you're learning largely from a textbook. Yes, I will give videos and we'll discuss these topics outside the textbook, but basically you're learning yourself through the textbook. And we all need to be on the same page so we're reading the same words. And also that's where your quizzes and a lot of the test info is going to come. So make sure you're getting the Brands, Breen, William, and Gross American Stories, History of the United States, 3rd edition, Volume 1. The ISBN 13 is there. I didn't put the ISBN 10 because honestly it doesn't matter which one. But you need that exact version. Now there is a combined volume out there if you're planning on taking 1302. There's a chance your professor might use the American Stories, the Brands volume. There's no guarantee. If you want to gamble, get the combined volume. If it's the same price, get the combined volume. If it's a much different price and you don't want to gamble, just stick with the Volume 1. because that's all we'll be using in that book. If you have problems getting that book, I know they have it at the bookstore, but a lot of students like to save money, which I fully understand. You can go to Amazon, you can go through, Abe's, and there's a million booksellers online and get a cheaper version. You're going to need it relatively quickly, though, because the first reading quizzes are going to be due. I believe I've had them due this Sunday. So hopefully you get that quickly. And if you're still having problems, well, contact me. Let me know. I will see if we can come up with a solution to that. Just get the textbook. All right. The other required reading for this class is you're going to choose one of these two monographs. Now, what a monograph is just a book about a particular topic. It's a really fancy word for a book about a particular topic, a singular topic, monograph. I'm giving you a choice in this one. The first choice is Tecumseh and the Quest for Indian Leadership. Second edition, although I don't really care which edition, second edition is better and has a few more notes right there. That one, or Blood Meridian, or The Evening Redness in the West by Cormac McCarthy. Both are available at the bookstore. I cleared that with them. They will try to sell you both if you go there, even though I asked them not to. If you bought both accidentally, you can return one. And they said they would give your money back. If you can't find them there, these are all easily available online as well. Tecumseh and the Quest for Indian Leadership, if that's the one you choose, it's about Native Americans, particularly this Native American leader Tecumseh during the War of 1812 and the relationship with the British and the United States. And it's an interesting book. It's not too long, actually, and it's a fairly good read on there. And then you have Blood Meridian, which is about westward expansion from the United States. A much more of a fictionalized account in some ways, yet using a solid history there as well. Every student's going to judge which book they're going to pick on different criteria. I know the most common one, which one's the longest or which one's the shortest, I should say, is that. That's fine. Pick whichever one you think you're going to read on that. But they are about different subject matter, and you might consider picking the one that interests you most, but you only need one, right? So either get Tecumseh or Blood Meridian, and may I highly suggest you get it quickly, right? Once again, it's a 5.5-week class. You have to read this. Now, the assignment based off the monograph is not due to the end of class. That is true. But you don't want to be like the 4th week of class, and you're getting into July, you're about to go celebrate July 4th. You're like, oh, crap. I got to read a book and write an essay over it, and you're scrambling to do that. Get it now. Get it now while you got that energy, you're ready to go. And then, then set it in your toilet or something and read when you're in there. I don't want to hear about that, actually. I shouldn't have said that. But, get the books there. Don't start trying to write the essay yet until I post the instructions and the video about it. Just start reading it if you want, making a few notes if you want on that, or honestly, just get it. Next thing, electronic access. Yeah. If you're watching this now, I'm assuming you have electronic access. If you took an online class and don't have electronic access, poor life choice right there. Okay. ADA statement. Very strange in an online class, but yes, it does come up every now and then. And yes, and here's the deal. Look, if you need some kind of accommodation, I'm more than willing, and I usually go above and beyond, right? Without a doubt. Now, I make every single reasonable accommodation, some that are even unreasonable, right? I don't mind. It's fine. It's perfect. I understand it. Here's the deal, though. I need your paperwork. I need a copy of the paperwork emailed to me. If I do not, I am legally bound on this one. I cannot give accommodations without the paperwork on that. So just give it to me. We make the allowances. Everything's good to go on that. If you have no idea what I'm talking about when I say that, it doesn't apply to you, so don't worry about it. Okay. Title IX, we are strictly uphold and adhere to Title IX in this class, and we'll use all proper, go through the proper procedures. It has never come up. I hope it never does, but just know that that is the case right there, and there's more you can read about that in Title IX. Attendance expectations. It's an online class. I don't know. How do I take attendance? I mean, if you're watching this, I guess I can look and see when people log in and all that, but that's, I don't know. Look, I mean, you sign up for a class, you're paying money to take the class. The class becomes basically your own class at that point. Yours to do with as you will. I'm not going to start hounding you and say, hey, you need to log in. You didn't log in last Tuesday. What's going on? I don't care. I mean, assuming you're taking this, you got other things going on in your life, right? You know, that's usually why students take an online class, is because they have busy schedules, things to do there. There's no attendance expectation necessarily. All my expectation is you get the coursework done, you do the coursework well. And if you're doing that, who am I to say there? Just know this, I'm not going to drop you or anything like that from the class. Collaboration is somewhat expected in the class, but largely you're left alone. And that's kind of the beauty of an online class. And I might as well bring this up now. I haven't been teaching online classes for too long. I've been teaching college history for nearly a decade now. But it's always been face-to-face. And I decided, Dr. Benefield and I at Lone Star discussed, and I said, okay, I'll try a few of these online classes, see what they're like. And I tell you, there's some great things about them, absolutely. Like one is, I'm here at home teaching a class, right? This is, by the way, these were not my decision, that's, yeah. But the paint job was, I like that paint. You can do that at home, right? You can do it. You don't have to go up on campus and do all this work. It works with the different schedules, with different work schedules, with different lifestyles, with different places that people are. I mean, I have taught people that are taking this class in Indonesia have taken this class. It doesn't matter in an online class. Having said that, there are some difficulties with an online class. The quality of education compared to a face-to-face is it's hard to get an online class up to the quality of education of a face-to-face. And most of an online class is self-learning. You're going to be learning most of the material on your own via the textbook and research. Now, I will be posting videos talking about things and asking questions, but there's an assumption there that you have read the textbook and you knew these core concepts, where in a face-to-face we can discuss the core concepts. There's just not enough time. Otherwise, I'll be posting a video for every lecture I do, and at that point, you're in a face-to-face class, right? My point is, to get the most out of this class and also to get the best grade, you need to be keeping up with things, right? So while I'm not going to go hound you if you haven't been on D2L in 2 or 3 days, I'm probably never even going to check. You need to, make constant attention and make sure you're keeping up with your assignments, make sure you're keeping up with the reading on there. And if you do that and you get your assignments in and you do them well instead of procrastinating and waiting to the last minute and rushing it, I think you're going to probably do very well and succeed in this class. And I think on my end, because what's important to me is not the grade you make, it's how, do I feel that my students have learned something about history this semester? I know for you, it's the grades you make. Don't get me wrong, I understand that. But for me, is am I getting the education across there? And the thing is, I can't force it on you. A lot of it has to be left up to you. But just going through the discussion board and all that, I can tell this is going to be a hell of a good class. So I'm not too worried this time on that. Student learning outcomes. Yeah, this is, I had to put this in the syllabus, but I don't know why we're going to do it all semester. Yes, that's exactly what we're going to go through right there. Course and program outcomes. Yeah, this is what we will do. We will create an argument using historical evidence. This is called the argumentative essay. We will analyze and interpret primary secondary resources. It is called our research paper. We will analyze the effects of historical, social, political, economic, cultural, global forces in the period of U.S. Yeah, it's called basically the class. And you'll understand the importance of chronology and how early ideas shaped later events. Yeah, it's called history right there. So that's what we're going to do this semester through that. A lot of syllabi. I'm sure for them who've been in college a while, a lot of syllabi are just, just a lot of extra words. However, in the section below that, these are not extra words. On the one entitled Plagiarism and Cheating, and going down to Scholastic Dishonesty, you have to forgive me for a second, because I'm going to go on a little tantrum right here, a little diatribe, because it is becoming very problematic. and it's a very recent phenomenon. And if, or maybe I just wasn't catching it before, but I think this is more recent, and it's really particularly big in online classes. The amount of plagiarism going on in these classes is becoming astounding, right there. Cheating, I don't know how you cheat in an online class, right? I mean, I guess technically you could be side by side if you know somebody else in the class and taking the exam together. I guess according to the Lone Star definition, that would be cheating. I don't know how I'm going to get you on that, right? So, I mean, I'm not worried about that kind of cheating, and I don't even know if that's cheating. That might be collaboration. That's weird. I don't care about that, right? What I care about is plagiarism. Now, when I talk about the research paper in a separate video and the monograph essay, I'm going to go over this in more detail. But it's a big deal. Do your own work, okay? If you use somebody else's ideas, I'm not talking about copying word for word even. I'm saying if you took their ideas, you need to cite that. Now, the reason for that is much more complex than you've always been told. And I'm well at the sounds of this video that's already gone 20 minutes, and I want to make, and I don't want to be here all day. I'll go into this in other ones. You've always been told you're just not giving credit to the writer. That's bullshit. That's not the reason plagiarism is a big deal. Dr. Brown at Harvard's not going to fly down to Tomball and get mad at a History 1301 student for not giving him credit. It's not about that. It's actually more serious than that. But I'll explain that later. Just know, for our discussion of the syllabus here, plagiarism is a big deal. It's a very big deal. Do your own work. Do not plagiarize, because the penalty for plagiarism this semester is going to be an automatic F in the class. No excuses, right? I'm not trying to come in and here comes badass Ramey coming and say, no, I'm not trying to be that way. I'm just saying it's become so problematic that I have to have a very hardline stance against it. And it really refers to last semester. I had an online class where there was a lot of plagiarism going on, and it drove me nuts. I had a full head of hair until then. Guys, it's simple. If you use somebody else's work, cite it. And guess what? You're no longer plagiarizing. If it goes against the terms of the assignment, well, you might get a 0 on the assignment, but sure as heck not going to fail the class because you cited. You're not plagiarizing anymore. Do your own work. I even put turnitin.com, submissions through turnitin.com, and I always click this little box where you can check your Turnitin score. If you turn in something plagiarized and it pops up like 78% plagiarized on Turnitin, you probably want to withdraw that submission there. Or actually, let's be honest, you probably just don't want to plagiarize in the first place. Now, Turnitin, obviously, there's a thing like, because in a research paper, you're going to be using other people's ideas, and it should pop up really big and red on Turnitin. That's fine, because you're citing next to that. On other assignments, just make sure you're doing your own work, okay? On that. Okay. Scholastics, honesty, all that the same thing. Just don't fucking cheat, okay? Oh, solved. All right, sorry. Now, I'll rant off. Let's all move on to everything else. Grading, standard grading format, A, 100 to 90, B, 89 to 80, et cetera, except actually, here's the deal with that. I actually grade on this standard. I think if you make like an 89.8, I mean, how is that not an A, right? Come on. Or even an 89.3, what is that? Man, come on, you're so close. You get an A. Problem is I have to have a cutoff somewhere, right? I have to have a line between an A and a B and a C somewhere. And that line is the 9. In other words, if your average equals 89.0 or higher, I'm going to give you the A. Unfortunately, if it averages 88.9 or lower, it's going to be the B. And the same thing for the C. And so that's just, I have to have a cutoff somewhere, otherwise it's exception after exception, and eventually, people making 83s are making A's and all that. And it has to be a line. And that line is the 9. And it goes all the way down. So a C in the class is basically anything below a 79, right? Sorry, anything below above a 69 to that. And a B is from 88.9 to 79.0 down there. D, I'll be honest with you, I don't know what a D is. I mean, I know what it is. I've had to give a couple of. I don't know if it's passing or failing. It's kind of that weird zone. Well, you didn't really pass, but you didn't really fail, so it's a D. Don't get one. That's the easiest thing. Just don't get a D, and you're good. All right, and the part where we're going to actually spend a little bit of time going through each of these. There is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 assignments really in this class, or 6 major groups in this class. This class works off a point system. I found it's the easiest thing to do. The only thing bad about a point system is it's sometimes hard to know what your grade, where it stands immediately. But I put little percentiles next to your assignments as well, so you can get a rough idea. And what we do is we have a total, the maximum number of points you could possibly get in this class is 1,300 points. And now, if you get 1,300 points, then you obviously got 100 in the class. And so to figure out your final grade, we take your total points and divide it by the maximum total points, and that equals a percentage, and that percentage equals your grade right there. The 6 assignments, we have 10 reading quizzes. These are worth 20 points each for 200 total points. I'm going to go into these a little bit more after I'm done with this. We have 1 argumentative essay worth 200 points. We have 2 exams, the midterm and the final, that are worth 200 points each. We have 1 monograph analysis, right? That's one of those 2 books you're going to read. You're going to write an essay over that, and that's worth 200 points. We have 1 research project worth 200 points, and then we have a discussion score that's 100 points. All combined, that equals 1,300. You're going to score a certain amount of points on each of those. We'll add them all up and divide them by 1,300, and that'll be your final average right there. Okay, I'm going to briefly take go over them. You can read through them, and it's probably reading through them is going to be more detailed than what I'm going to say here, just for sake of time. But if you have any questions, of course, please feel free to email me over these. The reading quizzes, simplest darn thing in the world. You read the chapters in the book that I have listed in the instructions of the quiz, right? There'll either be 2 chapters or 1, depending on the quiz. I don't think I have any quizzes that'll have 3 chapters on them. So you read a chapter or 2 in the textbook, and then take a quiz. I would do it in that order. I know it's simple enough to say, okay, I'm just going to start taking the quiz because I have a pretty loose time structure on that, and then read through it. That'll become problematic later when you're doing other assignments. So just go ahead and read the chapters in the book, then take the quiz, and flip through the book to help you with the quiz as well on that, in case you don't remember the answers. But that will serve you better in the long run. But whichever way, you're going to do it how you want to do it. You're going to take a quiz. There's 20 questions on each of these quizzes. The quiz answers come straight from the textbook, right? And they're worth 1 point each. So each quiz has a total points of 20, right? And when you turn it in, it'll tell you what your score is. Say 18 out of 20 means you got, 18 of the 20 questions correct. There's 10 quizzes. 20 times 10 is 200. There's your 200 points for your quiz average for the class there. These are pretty simple. I also leave them open after the due date, and the reason I leave them open after the due date, it'll become apparent when I get to the exams. All right. About, I believe, the 4th week of class, you are going to turn in an argumentative essay that is worth 200 points. It is one of the major assignments. It'll be roughly between 2 to 4 pages. It can go more than that. I guess it can go less than that, but you're playing with fire if you do that right there. You're going to write out in a word processor. You're going to submit it through to me through D2L. It'll go through Turnitin and all that. And what the argumentative essay is I'm going to give you a few choices. I'm going to give you some questions, probably 3. And you're going to pick one of those 3 questions that you want to write an essay about. But this is an argumentative essay. You're going to make an argument. Now, all an argument is a point of view. To take evidence, to take data, and make an argument, and make a statement showing what you think this means and what your point of view is. A good argument, these questions have no correct answers. You'll see when you see the questions. There's no 100% correct answer. What you do, though, is you say, this is what I believe the correct answer is, and you back that up with facts, things that support your opinion. I'll have another video on this that will go into more detail about how to write this a little bit later. It'll be posted by the submission page for the argumentative essay, but roughly that's what you're going to do right there. The only other criteria that I want to mention now, and it'll be mentioned a lot in the video for the argumentative essay, is that you are not, N-O-T, not allowed to use outside sources on this. The only sources and material you can use is a textbook and my videos. There's a reason for that. It's not because I'm trying to restrict information. It's just because this isn't a research paper. I want to see how well you can make an argument from a limited pool of evidence. And because I want your thoughts. I don't want, Dr. Smith at Yale's thoughts. I want your thoughts on these assignments right there. And it'll make more, if that doesn't make a lot of sense to you, if you're not really still not sure what an argumentative essay is, don't worry. There'll be another video about that. 2 exams in this class, midterm and a final. Although technically speaking, you say exam 1 and exam 2 because when we use the term final, it usually implies a comprehensive exam. It's not. There's basically 2 parts to this class: the first unit and the second unit. And the midterm is going to cover the first half of the class. The final will cover the second half of the class, not comprehensive. These exams are 2 parts. You have multiple choice, and then you have long answer or free response, whatever you want to call it. The multiple choice, almost every single one of those questions, if not all, you will have seen before, because I just take them straight from the quizzes, from the reading quizzes up to that. So the first exam will cover the first 5 reading quizzes as far as multiple choice. Maybe I'll have 1 or 2 questions that I make up on my own, but for the most part, they will that you won't have seen before. But for the most part, they will come from the reading quizzes. The second part, the long answer, the free response, is to determine how well you understand the material, not how well you can go back through your quizzes. And the long answer part of it is going to try to take parts of what you read in the textbook and see if you can explain it in a small essay format. Nothing hugely long on these, but a paragraph or two to answer a question. You'll have options on these, and I give you an exam review before the exams, so you're going to know exactly what the long answer or free response questions I'm going to pose to you are, so you'll have time to study for it. It won't just be a surprise on that. They're a total of 200 points each, so we have 2, that's 400 of your points there. Also, on the last day of class, this is when it's due. Now, like almost every other assignment in this class, you can always do it ahead of time. It just has the due date, the last date of the last day of class. That's true with the final as well. But you can turn this in a week and a half early if you want to. You're going to have read that book, that monograph, and you're going to write an analysis of it. I'll have another video about this on how to write this analysis. I'll list the questions that you should be answering in there. But I just want to warn you about one thing so we don't get the wrong impression of what a monograph analysis is. It is not a book report or it is not a summary of the book. I'm going on the assumption you've read the book, right? So don't just give me 2 pages of a summary. These are questions analyzing what the book was about, what the author's argument or main point was, how well they backed it up, what critiques you have of the argument, and the source work that they used to write the book. This is worth 200 points, as it says, due at the end of the class. I put it at the end of the class just because, it's kind of in a way it's the longest assignment since you have to read the whole book for it. But if you start now, it should be no problem whatsoever. And then last, but certainly not last, actually, we started the discussion, but another major assignment that's actually going to do earlier than all those other ones is the research project. I will have another video. I might even make it right after this video, because this will be due in the 3rd week of the class, I believe. The first 2 weeks of this class go by. There's not a whole lot going on except for reading quizzes, but this will be due in the 3rd week class. But once again, you can always turn it in early so you're not swamped near the end. This is basically, for most students, are going to write a research paper, basically. The subject of the research paper is anything you want to write about in American history. What do I mean by anything you want to write about in American history? Anything you want to write about. Come up with a topic, go and research it, and write a paper. It really is that simple, and yet it's surprising how complex this gets to some students when I believe in a simple moniker, KISS. Keep it simple. Stupid, sweetheart. Keep it simple. student. There we go. Keep it simple, student. Go and pick a topic, go to the academic databases, and write a paper based off of it. Submit it to turnitin.com, profit. That's simple right there. However, some ambitious students might, or maybe some students who just hate writing papers, which is usually more of what it is, don't want to write a paper. Well, instead they want to give a presentation, like a video or a PowerPoint or something like that. That is fine. You can actually do that. You don't have to necessarily write a paper. If you're thinking about doing some kind of presentation, there's only two stipulations. One, you need to contact me beforehand and tell me you are doing it. Then we can kind of go over the criteria for that. And two, you have to allow me to present it to the class as well via the discussion board or something, where I can say, hey, this is what so-and-so did their presentation on, check it out, it's amazing. Or this is what so-and-so did their presentation on, don't do this because this sucks. Nah, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't say that last one, but that's it. If you want to do that, great. They're usually a lot of fun to read through, and they usually do pretty well on that, because sometimes students have a hard time forming papers, but like presentations come easier to them. That's fine. Once again, I will have another video covering the research paper, maybe up tonight. If not, it'll be up tomorrow. It'll go over that in more detail. Just know that's coming up the soonest of all of these, and that's worth 200 points. And last, and in every way least, honestly, is the discussion grade. I mean, it's least because it's the least amount of points, and I'm not going to be. It's really not a huge deal in a short course like this. I can't expect you to get on there every day and type it onto the message board. If you want to, go for it, please. I got no problem with that, right there. But discussion grade is basically an easy 100 points. If you're on there, you've already introduced yourself you're already making progress on that. I might put up a question or something. If you want to talk about your research project, I mean, a simple thing. I'll have little categories, little forums, and when it'll be like research project, you just get up there and say, hey, this is my research project, what I'm thinking about doing, what do you think, right? In the chat through there, or if you doing the monograph analysis, and I'll have a separate category for both of them. Please don't go on there and list what you're going to write in your paper there too much. You can collaborate. I don't mind that. You can say something, well, what do you think about this as McCarthy's argument, or what do you think about this right here is like the source work? That's fine, but don't go overboard on certain things. Let's just put it that way. But collaboration from between colleagues is great, absolutely, there. But at the end of the day, you don't need to be posting too much if you do not want to. You'll probably still get a good score in the discussion, but if you want to go above and beyond, it always makes for a better class. In the time frames of a summer one course, can't go too far with that. I don't have as high of expectations. Let's put it that way. All right, course material and success. Yeah, I read through all that. PowerPoint, video uploads. I will do PowerPoint outlines. I don't even know why I wrote that. I'm not going to do that. Other links in there. Web chats. I don't know. You want to? I might consider it. Here's something post. I'll probably get an info or suggestions thing in the discussion board. If you want web chat, I might consider doing it this summer session. It's if you know what I'm talking about, is like where we all get on Skype or GoToMeeting or something like that, and I'd probably be the only one on camera, just unless I want to do it a different way. But that's just probably more relative to what we're doing. Not everybody wants to be on camera and whatnot. And if you have any questions about the class, you can ask me. Problem with those is everybody's got different schedules. I would never make them required, that's for sure. If that's something you would like, let me know. Just send it to put it in the discussion board. I might or might not do it. We'll see if it needs to be doing, I guess is a good way to say it there. And then every attempt that has been made to prepare the syllabus class in final form is my prerogative to change as deemed necessary. That's right, I can change this at any time. That last statement right there gives me carte blanche on that, but I'm not. It's pretty much going to be the same, and I'm going to stick to it. I don't like changing the syllabi because it just gets confusing. That's kind of it right? The class, I think, it seems like there's a lot of coursework, maybe, or maybe it doesn't, I don't know, there. I think it's a relatively fair amount. What might come up is you might notice that starting in the first 2 weeks, I mean, all you're going to really see is reading quizzes pop up, and most of those have been posted. And then you're just like, well, in the third week, all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. Well, the thing is, keep in mind, those are the due dates. You could finish them ahead of time. I'm going to open up the research paper probably tonight, if not tomorrow. If you finish it don't wait till I post the video before you start that research paper, please. But if you finish it, this weekend, you can turn it in. And there, the monograph analysis. Wait till I post the video, but you finish it the fourth week or the third week of class, you can turn it in. There, and then there's a lot less coursework. The only things that you can't get well ahead on are the exams. I got to have those under a time period. But even still, you could probably finish this class. I know I had a student email me asking because they had to go out of town near the very end of this class. Yeah, I'll probably, even the final can be taken ahead of time as soon as I open it up in the last week. So, I don't know. If it seems like a lot of work like it's right here, at least you can do it, with a cold beer and in your pajamas. So, look, I hope it's a great summer session. It seems like we got a lot of motivated and energetic students. We got some students going to the University of Arkansas, Woo Pig Suey there. Good. I was actually in Arkansas this past weekend. Beautiful, beautiful state there. And we got others that are returning, and we got some that are here for the first time. So we got the whole smorgasbord, as it were. And here's to a great semester, guys. Contact me if you have any questions, and you'll see my ugly mug here in the research paper video. Bye.